Hi, I'm David Bonasera, and you're watching Environmental Concerns.
California fact. California Codes, Civil Code Section 815 says, the legislature finds and declares that the preservation of land in its natural, scenic, agricultural, historical, forested, or open space condition is among the most important environmental assets of California. The legislature further finds and declares it to be the public policy and in the public interest of this state to encourage the voluntary conveyance of conservation easements to qualified nonprofit organizations.
Folks, we're talking about Barec. 17 acres that every developer is drooling over and would love to build there. Hey, you know what the problem is? Problem is there's a lot of contaminants, and they think they're going to take 2 feet out of the ground when realistically, when it rains, the toxins go 2 feet per day. Have a nice day. I'm telling you, you cannot put a development there. You cannot put senior citizens there. You cannot have their little ones digging in the dirt. No, folks, it is not. Nor do we want cancer clusters or any of that other stuff. And nor do we want to put shopping centers there, folks. There's other alternatives. It is greatly polluted. We've had this on before. We had Mayor Monahan, we've had debates, we've had Barec many, many times before, and you know why we're going on it again, folks, is so you know what's going on. And you really can't see Barec unless you're up on one of the parking structures or in a helicopter. It's one of those little things that nobody's ever told you about, and now everybody wants to build on it. And you know what? It can't happen. You've got to save it, and there's a lot of land that we need for open space here, because all we're doing is building a Manhattan. Cement and high rises, and it's got to stop because we have nowhere to play. All right, I'll see you in about 30 seconds.
Is your family at risk from unhealthy indoor air? You don't have to live with indoor air pollution. Get the facts from your local extension office or health department. It's time for healthy indoor air for America's homes.
Folks, we're back. Thanks for hanging with me. We have today from Barec, Kurt Vartan and Haley Carter. And they are both who work with Barec and to save Barec. And thank you both for being here.
Oh, thank you.
So people, I mean, I've had this on enough times, and it's been circulating through Palo Alto for about the last year. But talk about Barec and what it is, because most people go, oh, it's a piece of property. Who cares? But they should care.
They absolutely should. First, let me say, I'm actually a native of New York City, so I take a little bit of exception to the Manhattan analogy, but well taken. Point well taken.
You have to build a bridge and get over it.
Hey, I'm living out here. I got a house right around the corner from Barec, so I know all about it.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that Barec has to offer is a sense of community. It's a sense of what was here, as well as a sense of what can be, about how agriculture and urbanization can come together naturally in a place.
Yeah, it used to be a research center.
It used to be research for over 70 years.
And do we have a research center anywhere, even in the Bay Area?
Not that's within 30 minutes of driving.
Okay, where's the closest one we have?
Well, the only ones that I know of personally that have any sort of hands-on with children is Walden West down in Saratoga. So if you're, say, in the northern part of San Jose or in Santa Clara, if you got to drive down there, I mean, we live right off of Saratoga, and it takes us 35 minutes to get down to go see a concert down there. So you can imagine how much gas and fuel and time is wasted getting down there. Plus, you're taking them out of the natural environment. I mean, this is a piece of property that can actually teach children hands-on how it is to work land, what land's about, where food comes from, that apples don't grow in supermarkets. That whole thing can be a reality.
Yeah, because we're such in a world now.
Down.
I mean, most of the homeowners, let's admit, most of the homeowners couldn't grow a plant if their life depended on it. They pay other people to do it. I mean, you know, I've taken years and I work with bonsai trees. And it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of knowledge, and it is one of those things that takes time, and you learn. But a lot of kids, yeah, they think it's in the grocery store, and they, you know, nobody knows. I mean, few people know how to grow, but I mean, where are the kids I mean, were they going to learn this stuff in the
Well,
school? What are they gonna
the
do?
problem is where the priorities. A lot of it you talk about. It all comes down to dollars. That real estate in that space is right across from Valley Fair, literally across the street. People don't even know, people that grew up in that neighborhood, that live in that neighborhood, don't even know it's there because they have big shrubs there for noise and air pollution to keep it out of the facility. The problem is no one knows it's there anymore.
Right, and I also think that the public is conditioned to, when they see fences go up, that automatically means that developers are moving in to develop the space, so they see it as a foregone conclusion that it's no longer going to be the space that it was, and that they've really not had any chance to participate in what it should be.
Do you guys like do this full time, or do you have regular jobs? Because I know it's almost like I get all the emails on Barec, and there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of hearings and stuff, and it takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time. I'm actually, like I said, originally from New York City. I actually moved out here to work at Cisco, to be in the high-tech world. That was about 8 years ago. But my roots are back in the city, but now these are my new roots. And again, just to drill down on drive the point home here, the only reason I found out about this is because I moved into the area. I didn't know about it. I don't go around searching for big political things to get mixed up in. This just is clearly a financial decision to use a piece of land for development instead of doing something that can actually, in the long term, deal with a solution rather than dealing with a tactical money problem, which is what I think is being done. But anyway, so no, I don't do this for a living. It's the short answer.
No,
or the long
and
answer.
I got drawn into this simply by grassroots viral marketing. Someone sent me an email about Barec, the Bay Area Research and Extension Center. I had no idea that it existed before that, and so I sent a letter off to the officials that were looking at this, trying to sell it to developers, saying I really didn't agree with that happening, but I really wasn't quite sure, well, what were the possibilities? And so when I mentioned to the Save Barec organization that I had sent those letters off, Kurt contacted me and asked me if I'd be willing to work at a local farmers market supporting a booth to inform the public, and that's how I got drawn in.
Now, I'm going to kind of be the devil's advocate here, because you guys, let's say, have booths, and a lot of people all over the world are trying to save this, trying to save that. But the way I look at this, and I look at things pretty realistically, I think, and there's everybody want to save this, save that. But the thing is what's happening here is they want to develop this land. And I had Lenny Siegel on last week, and he was talking about vapor transmission. I mean, isn't this like the epitome of it? If they want to sit there and build concrete, and then they want to put elderly people in.
Well, especially with compromised immune systems, I mean, already. I mean, there are a couple things. So there's the whole pollution aspect of, I mean, it was a research center in the 40s, 50s, 60s when all kinds of funky chemicals were being developed.
Do they even have on record what all the pesticides they use?
I think it's up for debate on whether the records still exist. I think it's hard to get a handle on what all of those things are. And I guarantee you, even if we have every record that was ever made, I can guarantee you there's some chemicals on there that are in the soil that were never documented because no one cared to document certain types of things. That's just the nature of when chemicals were being developed. We didn't know the dangers of, or we probably wouldn't have been using them to begin with. So, I mean, part of what we're trying to do at the farmers market is to really let people know that literally a quarter mile away from Santana Row, you have 17 acres of agriculturally zoned land. I mean, that's the biggest deal.
What do you guys want to do with it? I mean, you have developers want to do this, you have the environmentalists that want to do that. I can't say the environmentalists are all good people, because sometimes they're just a pain in the butt.
we've been approached a couple times about, so are you guys extremists? Are you radical or anything like that?
Do you want to make us all ride horses? Yeah, that kind of stuff. What do you guys want to do with it? What can be done with it?
So a couple things. A couple things need to happen. Looking at what UC Santa Cruz has done with their Life Labs or project is they have a bit more space, 25 acres, not 17, but they've divided up into sections. I'm just going to hold something up. You're not going to be able to read the contents of this, but if you take a look at what this is basically what the plot looks like. And each of those sections are different functions, whether they're row crops or orchards or learning centers, hands-on learning centers for children, administration, maintenance facilities, all types of things that you would need to have a functional working environment. And that's sort of like the goal and where we want to go, to integrate it with K through 12, from kindergarten right up through 12th grade, the university level, so that it can get hands-on experience with agriculture and back down to the roots of how you interact with your environment.
Who's going to do the cleanup?
So that's the vision. we have some steps to get there along the way.
Okay.
The first is the soil cleanup. Organically, number one. You don't take chemicals and to clean chemicals. You do it organically, you do it naturally, and you definitely don't move the problem, which tends to be the standard
I want you to kind
reaction.
of go a little bit more when you talk about do it organically, because in a lot of ways, you can't. People say you can't do it organically. I know that you can. You know that you can. We're not letting that cat out of the bag just yet, but we know that it can be done. And I've always told people, yeah, that's right. I've told you in Silicon Valley that there's a lot of good things environmentally. You know, Charles Schwab said before the 21st century, said two things you want to invest in are biotech and environmental. And if you guys all in Silicon Valley here really want this economy to go, you're going to have to go in those two areas, and one of them is environmental. And I keep bringing this stuff year after year. It's my 8th year doing this, and I'm not getting tired, and I'm not going off your screen, so you just have to get used to me. But the point is that there's a lot of stuff that's coming out of here that we can make a solid economy. We can do these things to make a waste, or a place that they would call a waste, actually be able to make it organic, be able to fix it organically, which can be done.
And turn it. I mean, so soil pollution and soil problems are probably nationwide, if not worldwide. But at least at the state level and the city level, these problems are real, especially in the Bay Area. And if we can turn this piece of land, we know it's contaminated. I mean, my goodness, it doesn't take an expert to figure out that in the 60s when chemicals were used, documented chemicals were used, that there's pollution in the soil. Clean it properly, document the right way it was done, document the results, and then use that as sort of like a center of excellence, the best practice on how to do something like this to remediate the problem, and then take it to the next level.
We can show some leadership for other communities that have similar property. There's a groundswell of community support when we ask people, even casually, as they're walking by our booth at the farmers market, well, what do you think we should do with it? What would you do with it if it was your property? And nearly everyone comes up with at least 2 or 3 ideas that's already in existence at Barec. So it's not that it would be something completely unfamiliar to that particular piece of property.
So you're actually asking the people what they would do, not what the politicians would do or the environmentalists
Hey, this
would
is
do.
the land of the people, for the people, by the people. This is state property. It is state property.
And
that
maybe,
means it's California's
maybe what tastes
property.
like ice cream doesn't mean it's going to
Hey,
be, because
we
you got
got
the politicians.
petitions.
You
We got
can- I know, but
petitions
you
from
can
the
vote-
guy. Let me tell you what we've been getting. We've
You
been
can
getting
vote on
signatures
stuff
from
and it's still
people.
not gonna
We
go
have
through because
petition
somebody in the
signatures
Ninth
from
Circuit
people all
Court
over the
judge
city,
is going to sit
all
there and
over the
overturn this
state.
thing, and we end up being like idiots because we spent all this time voting and we're not getting
We
anywhere.
have a groundswell of support, not just locally, from other citizens within the state of California. So when this is state property, which means it's California's property, it's our property, it's citizens' property. We should be able to determine the right way to use that property and not let a financial decision because of a tactical problem deal with it. You know, that's not how you deal with problems. You don't deal with them with, knee-jerk reactions. We need money. Sell the land. Make the most you can. Develop it. Well, guess what? It's zoned agriculture. It is agriculture.
And once it's gone, it's never returned.
Infrastructure's in place. Three massive greenhouses are there, irrigation systems, power, 2 wells, sewer, all that's in place on this property.
Yeah, but in the Silicon Valley, everybody cares about the almighty dollar. Hang on a second, folks. We're going to go to a public service announcement, and we'll be back. And we have a lot more, folks, and we're not through. Hang on.
At home with Sparky's Spots. Hey, Marion, what brings you here?
Well, dear, space heaters need space. They create a hot spot in your home. Keep all heaters at least 3 feet away from anything that can burn.
Even pets.
And when you leave the room or go to bed, turn it off.
Now our home can be safe and warm.
Happy days are here again.
This is Sparky the Fire Dog. Make your home a safe spot. Learn not to burn.
Oh, hi! Glad you stopped in. We Spots know how important it is to have working smoke detectors in every home. You should have at least one on every level.
And one for the bedroom, because fires can start while you sleep.
Test your smoke detectors once a month.
Even a kid can do it.
With a little help. Let's hear it for fire safety! Yay!
This is Sparky the Fire Dog. Make your home a safe spot. Learn not to burn.